So I've been asked, time and time again, respectfully, if I could do more Rescue Ranger reviews. And I figured, you know what, I'm off today. This is a good way to test out the new speed of the modem and everything that I got. So why not do a review, shall we? And what we're going to review is the episode that I look at as sort of a pseudo sequel to Double O Chipmunk. And that is Mind Your Cheese and Q's. And the reason I feel like it's a pseudo sequel is because if you look at the chronological list as put up by Disney Plus, if you look at the chronological list of episodes, Mind Your Cheese and Q's is only 4 episodes after Double O Chipmunk. So it feels like it serves itself up as a follow-up, I should say, or maybe an extension, to say the least. And the reason I say that, and I have no idea what's going on over there across the way, but the reason I say that, basically, is because of what happens in the second half. Now, if you want to know what the episode is about, it's real simple. Basically, Monterey Jack's cheese addiction is getting out of hand. It's basically getting worse. He's having one of those moments where anytime he smells cheese, he can't help himself. Even if it means putting his team in danger. And it nearly happens at the beginning. It nearly happens at the beginning when it looks like his cheese addiction has prevented them from protecting Gadget, saving Gadget, who gets caught up in a kite tail, if you will. And Gadget's line too is, the wind is carrying her off on this kite. She says, she tells him to hurry up before she hits the power lines, and she ends up looking like the bride of Frankenstein. So that's a good little line. Anyway, though, basically his cheese addiction almost cost the team Gadget, but thankfully that wasn't the case. And she ends up landing in a bird's nest. She ends up landing in a bird's nest and all that, safe and sound. But anyway, long story short, this makes Monterey kind of vow not to let his cheese addiction get the best of him again. Unfortunately, that's hard to do. It's hard to do because he's been obsessed with cheese for so long. He's been obsessed with cheese for so long that he can't help himself. He's got to have cheese. So he goes as far as, sneaking out of Ranger headquarters to basically, get some cheese at the police station. But he finds out, along with the rest of us, that there's a cheese shortage. So he goes to the pizza parlor, same thing, cheese shortage. They don't know what's going on. So basically, long story short, Monterey finds out exactly why there is a cheese shortage, and it's due to one of the newer villains in town, Rat Capone. And if Rat Capone looks familiar to you, it's because the character that came out in Double O Chipmunk 4 episodes before has a similar, if not identical, character design. Pretty much. An identical, if not similar, character design. Anyway, long story short, they find out Monterey finds out, and then later on the Rangers find out, why there is a cheese shortage and who's behind it. So they go to investigate, and once again, Monterey's cheese addiction is getting the best of him to the point that he takes off and everything after the scent, even though they talked to a milking cow, who said, there wasn't any milk, there wasn't any dairy, and that no matter how much they fill it up, it just goes empty, and they can't understand. So what happens is, Monterey nearly gets himself, taken out when he gets discovered by Capone and his crew, because what he does is he follows the scent. He sees where the cheese is. It's basically locked up in a safe, right? So what he does is he basically bursts right through, he basically tears the wooden panel off, a wooden panel off one of the one of the entrances to the hideout, and he runs right towards the safe, right in front, right past Capone's henchmen, and starts eating the cheese. And then he falls back and starts singing, you know, a cheese version of 100 bottles of beer on the wall or something like that. 100 bottles of beer on the wall, something like that. But again, this ultimately almost cost him his livelihood. It almost cost him his livelihood. So what happens is the Rangers come up with a plan. Chip basically decides, well, if we can't, you know, trick him or anything, we have to outsmart him. So the idea is to have him, Dale, and Gadget disguise themselves as a rival gang, a new gang in town. And this is the second time in 4 episodes that we see Gadget in a red dress with a bracelet, necklace, you know, lipstick, eyeshadow, and heels. The only difference is it's more subdued. The lipstick and eyeshadow and all that, it's more subdued, and it's her natural hair that she's brushed in front of her eye, if you will, instead of a wig. Anyway, though, this plan backfires because Capone can see right through it. You know, he can see right through it and all that. And basically, Monterey, what happens is Chip and Dale have to trick Monterey into kind of deciding what is the best cheese to get his instinct back, get his cheese instinct back on him. Because they got to do this to save Gadget, who Rat Capone is obsessed, and anytime he makes an appearance, for some odd reason, is obsessed with making his moll. You know, in other words, his leading girl. So when she refuses, he basically takes it to the he has her taken to the cheese slicer, where she'll be cut into ribbons unless she accepts, and she still doesn't. So what happens is this leads the Rangers, thanks to Monterey regaining his scent for cheese, to, you know, find their way back to his hideout, fight off the henchmen and everything. Monterey does overcome his cheese addiction to save Gadget, and basically they use whatever loose dairy that they have, or not loose dairy, but basically they turn on a faucet, basically break loose a lot of the milk that's captured, and it flushes Capone and his henchmen down the drain, or at least, you know, out of sight for a while. And it ends with basically Monterey learning his lesson, but still having a love for cheese when he sees a piece of cheese go right by them. And they all agree that he did, you know, deserve it as a bit of a reward for at least trying. Overall, it's a fun episode. And to me, like I said, I think it's a great extension, follow-up to Double O Chipmunk, because even if it's in the second act of the story, it kind of uses a similar premise we saw at the beginning of Double O Chipmunk with the characters going into disguises and all that. So I would highly recommend checking it out if you haven't seen it. And that's about it. So till next time, guys, take care. God bless.